welcome along to the Invincible podcast, brought to you today from the Tollington pub, the legendary Tollington pub, which you can find on the corner of Tollington Road and Hornsey Road. It's about 5 minutes away from the ground. And on match days, this place is absolutely heaving with people. No matter what game, it's heaving with people, and it's an unbelievable pub. So if, for your full Arsenal match day experience, you've got to make sure you come to the Tollington. Lee?
I'm already here, like, aren't we? Cheers,
cheers, mate. Remember that I bought you this drink.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah. So next time we come here, you're getting them in.
Oh, lovely.
All right,
cool, it's even better when you bought it, I tell you, like, unbelievable. That tastes so nice.
At least I didn't do a Julian, you know what I mean?
Well,
remember when we was in LA and he bought us a drink? At that event. Remember that event that Arsenal did?
Yes, I do remember.
And he goes, come on then, let's go to the bar. I nearly passed out.
Yeah, well, I did pass out. He actually did buy a drink, didn't he?
He bought us a drink.
Yeah, first time in 2 years. So well done, Julian.
But listen, let's talk about, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Arsenal. First of all, there was the game last week, Saturday. First game under our belt, 3 points. Now, if I remember rightly, I remember a proper miserable, moany old git with a bald head coming out of the game. Oh, it's piss poor. Oh, Robbie. Now, are you going to roll that back a bit now after seeing a lot of the games? Because, as I said to you then, it's the first game of the season. And I thought in the game, first off, I thought it was a good performance by Arsenal, played well against a team that put every single player behind the ball. Second half, I agree with you. We were a bit lazy, should have killed off the game, we didn't, and then there was a bit of anxiety once they scored. But all in all, weren't bad, was it? Or were you still sticking?
I've watched it back, like, it was poor.
The whole game was poor.
The whole game. I'm going to say it now.
The whole game was poor.
You think about it, like, I know, like, there's people even, messaging me saying, is Robbie on the PA? Is he on the PR now for Arsenal? Is he on the payroll? Are you on the? I want to ask that question because you were sticking up for him left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I am. It's the first game of the season.
I watched the game. We didn't really create any chances.
We did.
Not in the first half, didn't we? Got like they got the
we
first
scored
chance.
2 goals.
No, hear me out. You want to ask my thing? First 10, 15 minutes, we had a lot of the play. Didn't create any chances whatsoever. They actually got a good chance and should have scored. Actually, Aaron Ramsdale done well to come out and
he did really well.
Very well.
Yeah.
If you noticed that and did put him off. Then we got 2 fantastic goals. I've got to say that. Eddie, took his goal really, really well, and obviously his second goal. But we didn't really create anything after that. We kept it. We kept the ball, but
that's 7 shots, I think, in the first half.
Nothing really like. I would say, well, oh wow, we've opened them up here and we've done really well. In fact, they looked a little bit dangerous on that left-hand side. But you go in 2-0 up, and you're happy with that. Of course you are, like, but second half, I felt we tired, if I'll be honest. I think we was a little bit jaded and all that. And fair play to Mikel in the end. He made the changes a little bit later than what he should have done. And the plus point for me is that once we made those changes, it weren't like we was hanging on. I know you might feel like you are, but when you watch it back, we wasn't. We was quite comfortable. So listen, at the end of it, it's 3 points. It's a good 3 points. But if Arsenal play like that all season, I can guarantee they're not.
Yeah, but they're not gonna play like that all season. And the thing is, right? I think a lot of the anxiety came from the fact that West Ham last season, Liverpool last season, games where we were 2-0 up and let those 2-0 leads slip and ended up drawing those games. And I think a lot of the end, because I thought some people, including you, were being a bit over the top about I thought the performance in the first half was a good performance, dominated the game. For the majority of the second half, dominated the game. We didn't create loads of clear-cut chances. That's because they had so many players behind the ball. It's really, really difficult.
I get that and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, and maybe it is a little bit, for me, it was my expectation levels have gone up. I've gone up. Last season, first game of the season, I would have took that. I remember coming over here 2 years ago, when we beat Norwich 1-0 at home and saying, oh, that was great and all that. Like, it was all about the result. Things have changed.
No, I get that.
So the expectations have gone up a little bit. And, you know, looking around at other teams and, you know, I was listening to a couple of my Spurs mates the other day talking about, how well they played against Brentford. Oh, he looks a good player. And I'm thinking, God, I was saying that 2 years ago.
Yeah, but they didn't win.
No. That's what I'm saying.
And the other thing about that game is they should have lost that game. That Mbuemo missed the absolute sitter, right? So, you know, whilst I get it, Spurs guys, it's kind of almost the reverse, isn't it? Their expectations are really low.
Yeah.
Because Harry Kane's
trying to
gone.
find things to look.
Yeah, so,
like
you know,
and
to be fair, I watched their game and there were a lot of positives in their game. Like Basuma, I thought he looked back to what we used to see when he was at Brighton. He played well, right? So their expectations are low. But if you look at a lot of teams, even Man City on the Friday night, they conceded a lot of chances against Burnley. If Burnley would have been a bit more clinical, you know, it could have been, I'm not saying they would have lost it, but, you know, they did concede a lot of chances in that game. It's just that they were very, you know, that guy Haaland, couple of chances, bang, bang, you know what I mean? So, but I thought all in all, in our game, 3 points on the board, a decent performance. I mean,
that's the key.
And you saw your Man United game. When you watched that game and you saw like Man United, who a lot of people are tipping to challenge for the league this year. And listen, you can't go off of one game.
No.
Right? But the way they got dominated in that game by Wolves. I mean, Wolves should have won that game easily.
Whoa.
Right? If they took their chances, they didn't. United showed their quality in scoring their goal. And then if it weren't for a scandalous handball decision that weren't given at not handball, a foul that weren't given by Onana at the end of the game, they would have dropped points in that. So all in all, I think it was decent by Arsenal.
Yeah, I get that. And I actually said about the Man United game in America, I thought that they was as poor as us. You know what I mean? I did say that. I said that I weren't impressed with Arsenal and I certainly weren't impressed with Man United. And it's gone on into the first game of the season. But listen, it is one game, and at the end of the day, what would you prefer to have? A good performance and lose, which we've done before in the past, or a poor performance and win? Yeah. So that's how I look at it, and I take the pluses from that. The biggest disappointment though for me is obviously Timber.
Yeah.
You know.
Actually, before we go to Timber, I want to reel back slightly. Did you see that decision in the United game?
No, listen.
Honestly, I'm not seeing a badder decision.
I've gone off football. I'm actually going off football. I've gone off this week. I've lost a little bit of enthusiasm for the game of football because I look at that and I think to myself, how can people in charge of football get that wrong? How can they get it wrong?
I know, it was disgraceful.
The only reason that I think that they can get that wrong is it's corruption. Because there's no other way I can look at it. I heard Mark, what's his name, Halsey, you know,
Mark Halsey. The former referee
on TalkSport, turning around and said the only thing I didn't like was that the official, you know, like was it John Moss and all that? They threw the officials under the bus
because they've all been removed from this week's games.
Threw them under the bus. What about Wolves? You know what I mean? What about them? You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I got no sympathy for anybody that makes a decision like that. You know, what if you're in charge? It's like, I'm not being horrible. It's like if I'm going to hospital to have my leg off, I wake up from the anaesthetic, I've got my arm off. I ain't going to be happy with it, am I? Like, you know what I mean?
It was a bit drastic.
I'm going to say, like, yeah, but I'm going to say I don't want to put. I'm going to turn around and say I don't want to put the doctor under the bus, but you know what I mean. At least I can wear a pair of slippers. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not having it. It's not on. You know. At the end of the day, their job is to do things properly.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I've looked at a couple of, you know, people were putting it on Twitter and everything, you know, the penalty decisions against Arsenal, you know, like, do you remember when we lost 3-0? The little nudge on the back, given us as a penalty. I've seen an assault on a field, right? And that's what it was. You know what I mean? Like,
Onana didn't get nowhere near the ball.
Nowhere near it.
He actually took out two players, right? And the thing about that I found disgusting is that it's, even the referee on the pitch, all right, say he hasn't properly or he can't 100% make out what's going on. The guys in the VAR have got to tell him that that's a penalty. You've got to say, go and look at the screen. And it is. You do look on it and think to yourself, if that happened in another country, if we was watching a game in Saudi Arabia and that happened, we'd probably be saying, someone's dropped a big chunk of money on the referee's table and said, make sure Man United don't lose. I mean, that was a scandalous
Listen, I've got
decision.
nothing against. It's not a dig at Man United. This, by the way, it's not. It is whatever. It's the official that the fella that's
they're incompetent.
I sat there on
Monday,
Friday was it? And I on Sky, and they had Howard Webb going, oh, look at our brand new offices. This is going to be great, and everything. And Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher being shown around it. Oh, these new offices, like, you know what I mean? Well, you might as well be sitting in a park, you know what I mean? Like with a cardboard box around you, like, because that is awful. It's absolutely, all this new technology we got. But it doesn't matter if you've got the best technology. If you've got incompetence running it. Yeah. That's it. And I'll say, what's the punishment for them? Like, at the end of the day, Wolves could get relegated next season. Like, the punishment is, you're not allowed to work next week. Oh, all right, okay, you're not allowed to work. So, all right, I'll tell you what, darling, we'll have a weekend in Dubai, you know what I mean, on the check I just got from that. We'll have a weekend, and I'll be back next week. And it shouldn't be allowed to. Whoever is in charge, whoever made that decision, right, to look at that on the screen and say, that's not a penalty, then should never ever be running a game again, because at the end of the day, there's no defence for it, Robbie. I'm sorry, and it's ruining my. When I see that, I think to myself, like, that could happen to us, and I'm spending going all the way up to. But
we remember we had something.
We've had it.
So we had the one last season against Brentford, but I think that one was even worse on Monday because it's so obvious. Obvious. They
spend 5 minutes, Robbie. Like, I'm sorry, they spend 5 minutes putting out lines and rulers to see if he's, like his left toe is offside and all that. Like, spend a couple of minutes on that, and then you see that obvious chance and that. And what's this clear and obvious thing as well? Like, you know what I mean? If I go back to the Tottenham game, you know what I mean? The penalty there that they got given, is that clear and obvious? I don't think so, And then you see that which is blatantly clear and obvious, and they don't get involved, but they get involved with the one against Brentford and Tottenham, which you could debate, it is a penalty and not, but all of a sudden there's someone on that VAR, I think that is a penalty. Probably was a penalty, but what I'm saying, it wasn't clear and obvious like that one, and they're just sitting. And what makes this worse, what makes this whole thing worse, is that when he's walking over, you think, he's going to go and see the camera. And he goes and gives Gary O'Neill a booking. He's standing there. What is a man supposed to do when he's seeing that and they're not giving it? Just go, that's all right. I would be booking. I tell you, Gary
O'Neill. See it angered you.
Angered me. What's it like for him? He's just got a new job. You know what I mean? Like, decisions like that. If he gets a point at Old Trafford, that is a real big,
massive
thing
morale
for his
booster.
managerial career and everything like that. To be ruined by incompetence, and then to make it even worse, you've got idiots turning around. Well, no, they can't rescind it. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. But on the note, what you were saying even before then, the horrific news that Jurrien Timber
that's dumb,
pick up an injury in the game, which it's now been confirmed that he's done his ACL, and he's going to be out. He'll probably be out the whole season.
Whole season.
I mean, because when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, I remember doing a panel with Beth Mead, Arsenal ladies player, and she got the ACL at the start of the season. And I remember I said to her, that was a few months ago, and I said to her, do you reckon you'll be back for the World Cup? And she goes, nah. She goes, I won't be. And I said, seriously? It goes that long? And she goes, I won't make it. And so she literally missed the whole season and the World Cup.
Yeah.
And you think Jurrien Timber, he's also got the Euros next year as well. So he could miss that as well. He's certainly going to miss the majority of our season, right? I think they're saying at least 6 to 7 months to recover from it. It's absolutely devastating for him personally, because you can imagine how excited he is. His first game at the Emirates, he played at Wembley. The fans already love him. He's been one of the star players I think he's been the best out of the new signings. He's been the best so far. And then to know now that you're not going to kick a ball possibly for the rest of the season, it's absolutely devastating for him on a personal level. And then for us as fans, I mean, we were so excited to see him and to see what he could do for Arsenal this season. And now we're not going to see that either. I mean, these ACL injuries, man. I mean, you think about how many big players are out now. I saw De Bruyne, I think that's a hamstring, but he's going to be out for about 4 or 5 months.
Mings got it, didn't he?
Mings is out for a season. I think Buendia at Villa is out. Militao at Real Madrid, ACL. Courtois, ACL. I mean, and once you get that injury, I mean, it can even affect your career completely going forward. I mean, I feel so badly for him.
I feel real. Well, I feel bad for him and obviously for us as well, because I was really excited about him. I ain't going to lie. Obviously there was the excitement of Declan Rice. I understand that. But Timber, for me, was the one. I thought he was fantastic all through pre-season. Fantastic in the Community Shield. Looking really, really good on Saturday. Playing a different role as well. Like he can play multiple positions. And to go out. The one thing I never said it. Is when did he pick up that injury? Was it before half time or after half time?
I was shocked, right, when he came back on. I was shocked because he picked up an injury, but they reckon he was holding the back of his leg, right? But he picked the back of his knee, but he was definitely he picked up a bad injury, right? I don't know why they brought him back on.
No, it's ridiculous.
Because even at half time, I don't know if you noticed this, but Tomiyasu was warming up with one of the coaches individually. So I was thinking to myself, they must be bringing on Tomiyasu. That injury must be quite bad. And then to see him come back on, and then you saw him running and it just popped.
Yeah, well, if that had anything to do with it, you're going to have a look at the medical staff there. And again, incompetence, I've got to say that, because you let a player like that go out there with an injury like that, and then obviously he's out. Listen, he might have been injured and been out for 6 or 7 months before that, but that weren't a good sign for me. So disappointment all round. I think he's going to be a big loss. And what I look at it now, Robbie, is that someone said to me yesterday, "What do you reckon Arsenal will go into the transfer?" They're going to have to. Because,
I think they have to.
Because why did they buy him in the first place?
Do you know the thing is, right, is that all week, or since we've heard about the injury, lots of people are sort of saying, right, well, we need to go and get another left back. Everyone just keeps saying we need to get a left back, And I keep thinking, hold on a minute, we need to get a centre back.
Yeah.
He actually was a centre back at Ajax, right? Who's versatile enough to play right back. We didn't even realise he could do the left back position as well.
No, it's been a bonus.
But versatile to do right back or centre back, right? Now that he's out, right, that again now for me poses a problem in the centre back position.
100%.
If anything happens to Saliba,
who's not 100% fit,
who said himself he's only 80% fit.
Yeah.
If anything, so that means you can't overdo it with him. What do we do? Does that mean it's back to the Rob Holding type player?
Just have a drink.
I think we need to buy a centre back. Or the other way you could look on it, I think we have to buy a centre back or a right back. Because you could also buy a right back
and then Ben White
and put Ben White and say, Ben White, you go in there because you can play centre back. If you get a really good right back that you put in there. But honestly, I do think we have to go in the market. 100%. I really do think we have to go in the market because
you've got to look at it and say
it's a blow.
It's a £40 million signing for next season. Like, that's how I look at it now. Unfortunately, listen, football's ruthless, as you know. You just got to forget about Timber now and get somebody else in. I don't know that'd be up, but I do think that we need someone that's going to be able. Listen, we ain't going to be able. It's very hard to get a £40 million player that can cover right back, left back, and centre half like he can and do it so well. So it's disappointing that we've lost him, but I think we're going to have to bring in someone that can play. Tomiyasu can do it, multiple positions. Tomiyasu can do it, but he doesn't do it as well as what Timber has done. No. But can come in and do a job. I think that they need now to just go and buy maybe I don't know, Cancelo.
They've been talking in Cancelo, but it looks like he's going to be going Saudi.
Everybody's going there.
I don't, well, the money's good, but I don't think.
AFTV might be going over there.
I'd love to. I don't think City are going to want to sell Cancelo to us. They know that that'll be strengthening us, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be cheap either, because I think the Saudi thing is about 40 million they've agreed on for him, which is a lot of money. He's 29.
I think Laporte's been agreed on, wouldn't it, like to go over there?
Laporte as well. Yeah,
Been linked with him as well.
Right, I think Barcelona want Cancelo as well. I don't think they're going to want to sell us Cancelo. But there's a Laporte as an option as well. You could bring, but he's probably going to go Saudi.
Yeah, Saudi.
You got Walker Peters at, at Southampton. He, as a right back. Yeah.
Would he come to us being ex-Spurs?
Yeah, I'm sure he would. You know what I mean? But
might get the wrath of the Spurs fans.
But you got Walker Peters. You got there's a guy Mohamed Simakan who plays for RB Leipzig. He's a centre back, but very similar grain to to Timber, in that he can play right back, he can play defensive midfield, he's a very versatile player. There's players like Edmund Tapsoba, who's a centre back. I mean, there are options out there, but it's how much money Arsenal are looking to spend in that area. And I mean, you could have your best laid plans in it, and they're just thrown into turmoil now. You know what I mean? Or do they just stick with what they've got? In that you've got Tomiyasu, who could play as a centre back, can play as a right back, or you could play as a right back and you can put Ben White into that centre back position as the backup. You've got Kieran Tierney. Yeah. Keep him. I mean, I know Nuno Tavares looks like he's going to be on his way to Forest. Zinchenko, remember, can play left back, as we know. So you've got Zinchenko. Keep Kieran Tierney. Keep Kieran Tierney. That would be my thing.
I get that. So why did they sign Timber?
Yeah, but things have changed.
Yes, but
you just said, football's
at the
ruthless.
beginning of the season, they've looked at it and thought, well, we need to improve in this area. So we're going to.
But who are you going to improve with?
Well, that's down to the staff and all that. Whatever you look at it, Rob, how I look at it is that they felt those amount of players wasn't good enough. That's why we bring in Timber. I think because of that, for that reason, they've got to bring somebody else in,
Yeah, but to me, Kieran Tierney. If you've got Kieran Tierney and you've got Zinchenko, right? You've got Zinchenko, we saw brilliant last season. But then you've got, that Kieran Tierney's better defensively. So you've got options. I'd keep Tierney. I mean, Tierney was looking like maybe Newcastle, but that looks like now they're going to get that Lewis Hall from Chelsea, right? So he might not end up going there. All the other clubs that have come in for him so far have been talking about loan deals. That's a waste of time. We don't want to send him on loan. We want proper money for him so that we can reinvest. So to me, if we don't get the proper money for Kieran Tierney, we should keep him. I mean, I noted that Arteta, he was asked about it in his press conference, and he's, what's happening with Tierney? And he said, well, listen, he played they were asking him, why was he left out? Is he leaving? And he said, well, hold on. He played in the Community Shield 5 days before that.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
He sort of made out as if to say, listen, he's still part of our plans. I don't know if that's going to be how it turns out, but certainly...
He certainly weren't part of the plans.
I would keep Kieran Tierney.
He certainly weren't part of the plans Saturday, was he?
He weren't, no.
No. So you look at that. I looked at that, I actually looked at what Arteta said about that, and I look at the subs and all that, Well, he's a better sub than Holding. But Holding's on the bench and he's not.
Yeah, but Holding's a centre back, isn't
No, Kieran Tierney can play central defence. If you're looking at a thing like, I think on Saturday morning, Kieran Tierney wasn't part of Arsenal's plans going forward. By Saturday evening, he probably is.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you said, it's ruthless.
No, that's football.
It's ruthless.
I agree with that.
And it's it'd be like, all right, Kieran, we need you again.
Yeah.
And then,
it's not fair on the player, but...
No, but hold on. Then the player has a chance to prove to Arsenal that this is why you shouldn't have been even thinking about selling me, because I'm still of massive value to you.
So, sometimes, though, Robbie, it don't matter what you do, you can't prove that you're the main guy, can you?
No, but you've got to go and prove. Remember Greenish when he first came?
You like Cecil more than you do James. You know what I mean? I don't like
any of them.
You ain't gonna say it, but like you do, like, you know what I mean,
Right, but listen, if you've got right, you look at Man City, look at players there that have been, like Greenish. He came in, wasn't really getting a kick until the second season.
I agree with that.
Phil Foden last season. Right, he weren't really figuring a lot until the end. he's now figuring a lot because De Bruyne's out, right? So now all of a sudden, Super Cup and all them things you're starting. It's not for him to then turn around and say, "Oh, yeah, what, you calling on me now because De Bruyne's not here?" Right? It's for him to go there and prove himself to say, right, you don't even need De Bruyne.
I totally get what you're saying, but I'm looking at it from Kieran's point of view now. Like, if I was him, right, I would say, right, I've worked hard, got myself fit. Playing Liverpool. Zinchenko's out. He's not playing. Like, all right, looks like I'm going to get the nod here. Like, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, Tomiyasu's in there. Like, that now, all right. Zinchenko's out again. Like this time around, Tomiyasu's fit. He puts Timber out there. Like, Now I get this thing from Mikel where. I'm putting Eddie in because he's worked so hard in training and all that, like, you know what I mean? So is Kieran not working hard in training? Or
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know.
Are you at training?
But what I'm saying is that if I'm Kieran Tierney, I'm going to work so hard in bloody training this week to make sure that I'm in the team.
That's what you want.
But then comes to that, and you're putting Tomiyasu in, or you're putting, who's going to play left back on Monday? Who, I'm going to give you a tenner now. You can go and put it on. Who are you putting it on? You're very
on
careful
Monday?
with that tenner. Zinchenko's back. Tomiyasu's back.
I don't know.
I'll tell you who won't play. I'll put a tenner down that won't play.
He could do.
Well, I'll put my tenner down he won't.
Zinchenko's just come back.
Right.
So he might not start in a game of that intensity.
So really, see, the favourite, if you were saying it, the favourite to start at Crystal Palace is Tierney. Because he's the left back. He's the fit one.
He could start Tomiyasu
right?
there.
But I'm telling you that now. I would say that Zinchenko will probably start in front of him, or Tomiyasu. They'd be the first two. Or even Kvyat. Right? I
mean, listen, if that's the case, then he's probably still on his way out.
Right,
I do think Arsenal want to sell him. They want to sell him, but they want about £30 million for him.
Well, that's fair enough.
And I think it's like, if we get that amount of money for him, we'll sell him, because I think there is a problem with Kieran Tierney when it comes to the style of play that Mikel Arteta is trying to play. Mikel Arteta wants his left back to invert, and it's not a strength of his.
And this is where I get a little bit annoyed with Arteta at times. Right?
Why?
Because he says that Kieran Tierney doesn't fit into the style of whatever like that. Does Eddie? Does Eddie go into our style of play? Doesn't he? He doesn't play the role. No, he doesn't. He doesn't play the role of Jesus. He doesn't play the role.
He scores goals.
He scores goals, but it changes the style of it.
And does he start? Does he start? Does he start on a regular basis?
Well, he's had more starts than Tierney.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that Tierney...
Because he didn't start in the Community Shield, did he?
No, but he started...
And he didn't moan and throw his toys out the pram. And I'm not saying Kieran Tierney's done that.
I get
but
he works hard in training.
He went and put in a shift in training and earned his place in the starting line.
But what I'm saying is, you're missing my point here, that Arsenal's style of play is different when Eddie plays up top. So which Arteta compromises?
It's not a lot different, is it? It's not a lot different.
Well, is it a lot different when Tierney goes in?
No, but Kieran Tierney, off of his own admission, is still learning that role of inverting. He did an interview where he said...
Don't play inverted then. Does...
But that's how the manager wants to play.
Does Ben White...
That's how he wants to play.
Benjamin White. Does he actually play an inverted right back? No.
He doesn't know.
So why?
Because on that right hand side, he wants because he's got Saka out there. He wants them to overlap. He wants them to.
He put Partey in there. He changes things around to suit. Why couldn't you put Partey there and played Tierney at left back?
But I don't listen. It's the way he wants to play. He's the manager.
I get that.
He's had a lot of success last season in playing that, didn't he? Right? Having that inverted.
I'm not knocking Arteta.
Right? So
I am saying, if I'm Kieran Tierney, I am saying to you. Don't matter what the manager says. Don't matter what he says in press conference. It doesn't matter what he says in there. It doesn't matter how hard he works in training. He is not going to get it. Look,
he's the manager.
Yes, and I get that.
He's in charge.
Like if he works as he's absolute nuts off in training, right? I'm telling you that there'd be 2 or 3 players in front of him. Different with Eddie at the moment, but I'll tell you what, Eddie can work his Peruvians off. He can do whatever he likes. When Gabriel Jesus is fit, he will not.
It's the same at any other top club, right? Look at Manchester City. How many games has Calvin Phillips played?
Well,
since he's been there.
I'll tell you what, I'd like his job because he's got the best job in the world, him.
How many games has he
Manchester
played?
City supporter.
Laporte.
And he's a Leeds fan. But there you go.
Laporte, top defender. How many games has he played?
Yeah, but he wants out.
He wants out now, yeah, but he's been there for a long time. But how many games has he played? Because the manager wants a particular style. He wants.
If you're as Kieran Tierney,
he wants his centre back like John Stones to invert, drop inside. He wants sometimes his centre back to play like a right back, left. That's right, and maybe Laporte, as good as a defender he is, because I like him, right? But as good as he is, maybe he can't do that. Maybe he don't suit the system. He don't suit. It's not Kieran Tierney. It's not that he's not a bad player. Although, as I said, personally,
I'll tell you something now.
Personally, I'd want to keep him.
I'm going to tell you something now, right? I don't care how many badges, right? How many whatever, right? And people can turn around and say, well, you don't know that. I've got badges, right? I am putting it down.
What badges have you got?
I've got an Arsenal badge.
What, Boys Brigade?
Right, I am putting it down now that Kieran Tierney is a better fullback than Thomas Partey will ever be.
I agree with you.
Right.
But he was playing on the right-hand side, Thomas. And that was because of a
all
system.
This inverted crap and all that. Like, are you a defender? Can you defend? Can Tierney defend? Yes. Right, I want my defenders, funny enough, to be able to defend. I like this inverted stuff and all that, like, it's starting to drive me up the wall.
But even last season, you saw with Brighton, right? Caicedo, when they played against us, he played as a right-back. He played as a right-back and then he dropped into midfield, right? So it gives you that little overload in midfield when you're under attack.
It doesn't mean to say it's the right thing to do.
No, but I thought the tactics against Nottingham Forest were spot on, because what he did is, by having Partey at the right-back, is that Partey didn't really play as a right-back.
No, he didn't.
Literally played. He played as an additional midfielder and dropped back into right-back.
And that's why they left Gabriel out, by the way.
Exactly. And then it was a tactical change. So it is what it is.
All I'm saying is,
players now.
I'm just saying with this Tierney one, like, you know, get the old it out of the window. For whatever reason, Mikel does not rate him, doesn't want him in his team, and that's the end of it. So for me,
I don't know if he don't
get
rate him.
the money and see if they thank you very much.
That's as I said, right? That's if anybody out there has got the money to buy him, and if they haven't got the money to buy him, I think we should keep Kieran Tierney. Especially with Timber being out, and we should involve Kieran Tierney in the team. We've got Champions League games coming up.
I like Tierney. Let's get this. I'm a big Tierney fan, but
I personally,
I just don't think it's going to happen.
I'd like to see us keep Kieran Tierney. If we're not going to go, especially if we don't go back into the market to replace Timber, then you keep Tierney. That'd be stupid to sell him. If we don't get,
I'm saying now that I'll be very, very surprised if Kieran Tierney's starting on Monday.
All right, we'll see. We'll see on Monday. I think you're probably right, to be honest, but we'll see. Monday's game, Crystal Palace away. That was the first game of the season last year, in which we won 2-0, played really, really well that day. Palace a little different this year. I mean, no Zaha, no Elise either. I think he's out injured at the moment as well. But they've got Eze, who's been playing well. They've got...
it looks like he could be going to Chelsea.
Elise looks like he will be going to Chelsea, yeah. He's injured at the moment anyway. But they've got Eze. They've got Roy Hodgson back in charge. Again, they're going to be another team that's going to sit really deep. They're going to make themselves really hard to beat, and they'll be good on the counter-attack. We know how Crystal Palace play it. There'll be a great atmosphere from their fans on the day. How are you feeling ahead of that game?
A little bit more confident, because I think the way we set up a little bit is better away from home. I do think that we'll be more defensively strong. That's where I think, like, I'll be shocked if Thomas Partey's at right back. So I think they go back to the normal back four. And the big decision is at who gets left out, Eddie or Kai Havertz. I still go on to say that, you know, I looked at that game on Saturday, and how can I get in my £65 million player? This is how I do it.
How can I what, sorry?
Get my £65 million player in. I leave out Gabriel for this game. You can't do that for this game. So it'd be very, very interesting to see who he'll play up front.
Eddie's got to start up front. Or Trossard. I'm still
so you don't think Kai will play?
I don't think Kai Havertz should start. No. I would start with Partey holding midfielder.
Holding?
Partey's my holding midfielder. right? Big up Rob Holding. But Partey's my holding midfielder. In that number 8 position will be Declan Rice.
Yeah.
Right? And Odegaard. And Havertz will be on the bench for me. And then it's a choice between Eddie or Trossard up front. That's for me, right? Eddie or Trossard up front because I thought Trossard was excellent when he came on. And I was surprised that Trossard didn't start that game against Forest because I just felt that Trossard, his trickery, his skills, you know what I mean? He's had a good pre-season. I thought that he may start that game.
He's got to work harder, a bit harder in training, hasn't he?
You're really holding on to this, aren't you?
He's got to work harder in training.
But then if Eddie starts, right? If you see Eddie's record when he starts games,
listen,
it's excellent.
I'm not knocking Eddie, like, you know what I mean? At home, I think someone said to me the other day, he's had 17 starts at the Emirates. He's got 14 goals.
He's got a good record.
You know,
when he starts games. I wouldn't be... Listen, I don't care which one of them two start, but I don't
Eddie should start because I thought
He scored.
He scored. But I've got a feeling he won't.
I don't think Havertz will start. I'd be surprised if Havertz
I'm saying that he will. If he
Havertz start ahead of Eddie and Trossard.
Yes, because he's, you know, I go on for it and all night.
Because he cost £65 million. That shouldn't make a difference. I would start.
When that team sheet comes out, I want you to ring me and go, oh, you was right, like, you know what I mean? I Havertz up front. I can see it. I'll be very surprised if he's on the bench.
I'd be disappointed if Havertz started that. Havertz's not supposed to start that game. It's Eddie or Trossard supposed to start that game. Martinelli, obviously.
Unless there's a mystery injury or something to someone, like, you know what I mean?
No way you drop Martinelli. No way you drop Saka.
He was fantastic, Martinelli.
Right? Martinelli was the best player on the pitch. You can't drop Saka. He was scored. I mean, no Havertz for me. It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be Eddie or Trossard, one of them two.
All right, well that's what you're saying. I'm saying
so you're saying that definitely you think it'll be Havertz as well.
I think it'll be Gabriel coming into the back four, so yeah, normal back four. Stick my neck out here. I don't think Shinchenko's quite ready, so I think it'll be Tomiyasu on the left back. I think that the midfield, as you said, and up front it will be Havertz instead of Eddie, or Eddie, one of the two. But I've got a feeling that Havertz will play.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't think he was that bad. Like, people criticise.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
To criticise him all the time. I feel a bit. I don't like this about Arsenal.
Did you see that fan? That fan who came on. He's like he basically admitted he had an agenda against Kai Havertz. Now, to me, I think that's totally wrong. Havertz, I didn't think he was that great in that game. To be honest, he wasn't poor. He was an average game, yeah. And I want to see more from Havertz in games, but it's the first game. And like a fan, there was this brilliant fan who came on after that guy who said he had the agenda against Havertz, who said, he goes, because the previous guy was saying, why did we get rid of Xhaka? And he was really making a big argument for Xhaka, right? And what the guy who came on afterwards said, listen, we gave Xhaka 3 years before he put in performance.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And he goes, and now with Havertz, you're giving him one game. You know what I mean? We've got to give these players time. We've had the first game of the season. Like you said, expectations are through the roof now at Arsenal. It's like we're looking for Ballon d'Or performances from every single player, every single game. It ain't going to happen. But, you know...
Do you know...
we've got to give these players time. But Havertz definitely... You know, he's under the most scrutiny of the new signings.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And listen, I didn't agree with what that fan said about it. Like, you know, and again, you know what I mean, people having a stick at the channel because they're saying whatever, and it's a fan's
view. It's a guy's opinion.
It's a guy's opinion. But I'm telling you, there are a lot of fans that won't admit it, but they have got that like thing about Havertz. So like they're not sure. If you ask me and be really honest with me at this moment in time, jury's out on him 50-50. I'm desperate for him to work.
Jury's out.
But I'm not 100% sure that it's going to. But I'm willing to give him the you know, as much support as I can at this moment in time. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of Arsenal fans out there at this moment in time are ready to go on this. And I tell you, do you know what? There's a lot of undercurrent fans that don't want to see Arteta do well. There's, you know, the ones that how I say
agenda.
Yeah.
Agenda,
listen, for myself, I'm going to admit there was a time that I didn't think he should be the manager of Arsenal, but for me, and that's what I've changed my mind.
He won you over. He's
won me over, yeah. But there's certain fans that he's never going to win them over. So they think, whoa, this is the one. This is the one, Kai Havertz. He's the one that's going to make me relevant again. He's the one that's going to make me say that Arteta's crap or whatever, like, you know what I mean? So it's a massive, massive pressure on Arteta.
It is because it's his guy, isn't it? It's his
pick. He's his guy. So you live and die by your signings.
Yeah, and it was kind of out of the blue. It was out of the blue. I keep going back to Havertz and saying to myself, look at the teams that wanted him, right? Yeah, Real Madrid wanted him. Bayern Munich wanted him. These are not little joke teams. These are the biggest of the biggest teams. They wanted him. So they must see something in him as well. It's for Arteta to bring the best out of him.
The only thing I see with Havertz, and I mean this sincerely, I look at Timber and I think, right, before he was injured, where are you going to play? Well, either fullback role or whatever. Where's Declan Rice going to play? Right? He's playing like midfield and all that. Right, where's Havertz going to play? Oh, I'm not 100% sure. Can he do this job? Can he do that?
The manager might find a position for him.
Well, that's the thing.
You actually look at Arteta, how many players has he bought that have literally played in the position you thought?
No, that's what I like about him.
Because he bought Ben White. He plays as a right back. We all thought he's bringing him in to play as a centre back, right? Tomiyasu's been playing on the left as a left back, as well as right back, but as a left back as well, right? Who else?
Trossard can play in different positions.
Trossard, he's moved around in various different positions.
Declan Rice,
you know, Declan Rice, he's got playing at the moment in that sort of number 8 position, isn't it?
Yeah, can play in different roles.
Saka was a left back. Now he's like a right winger.
Yeah,
you know, he's moved a lot of players around into different positions. And it's worked on, you know, you've got to say that literally every single one of those players that he's moved into different positions, it worked.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, I mean...
Maybe Aaron Ramsdale might be coming out there like that, you know what I mean? So, but no, I think that is a good thing. And listen, I'm desperate for him to work, you know what I mean? Because I do think that if it doesn't work, there'd be a lot of... I've even heard people turning around and saying, oh, well, we could have got Maddison instead of him and all that. Like, but my argument to that is, can Maddison play up top like he can? No. Can he play... You know, Maddison plays different roles and whatever.
I think it's the versatility of Havertz that he likes, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I think it is. And I think that, you know, like particularly with Champions League coming up as well and everything like that. I love what Arteta said today, is that he's not turned around and said, oh, it's Champions League and every competition this season. So that means that they're going to have good squad rotation for every single game. So we're looking to go on like deep in every competition. And I think someone like him that can play those different positions. I think maybe against Crystal Palace we need to have someone that can hold the ball up a little bit better. Then it'll be on Havertz to do that more than Eddie. Horses for courses, and that's what he will give us. But I am desperate. For Mikel's sake, that he does do the business. Like,
he's got to do the business. He's got to do the business. What's your prediction for the game on Monday?
2-0.
2-0. Yeah, you know what? I'll go with that as well. Away from home, we seem to keep more clean sheets. We seem to play better. So, who's going to start in goal? David Raya's here now.
Aaron Ramsdale's number 1 at this moment, and do you know what? Deservedly so.
I was looking at that Raya's passing stats. You know, he's like number 1 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Last season. Ramsdale was I was surprised, he was about 18th. I was surprised at that. Number 1.
It's you know, it's a funny sign, isn't it? I'm shocked by that signing, I have to say that. I'm not, you know, but for me,
Ramsdale... you were shocked by Ramsdale's signing?
Yes, but Ramsdale really has come in and proved everybody, not wrong, but like, you know, has proved that what a very, very good goal. Look, I'm banging on for Aaron Ramsdale to be England's number 1. I do think he's the best goalkeeper England have got, so I'm not going to say, right, we've got somebody else now. He's got the shirt. I think that the one thing that if I would criticise Aaron for, is sometimes he can get a little bit cocky, a little bit like, not arrogant, but like, I think like, oh, I ain't got nothing to worry about. If I'm like, now.
He has now.
So I think that will take out that little bit of, not sloppiness, I can't think of the word I'm actually looking for, but like, just take that away from his game and make him concentrate 90 minutes.
Okay, well listen, it's the big one on Monday night. We got to wait all the way. I hate Monday night. I hate them. Got to wait all the weekend. Watch
Friday
everybody
night and
else.
Monday night, I don't like.
Yeah, I don't mind Friday night.
Well, I do. I
don't mind Friday night. I mean, I prefer Saturday, Sunday, but I don't mind Friday night. But Sunday, Monday, we got to wait.
What is your favourite time game? What if you used to say like
Saturday,
that's the game?
Saturday
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, man. Saturday 3 o'clock, or even 5:30 on a Saturday. I don't mind. But Saturday games I like.
Saturday games,
get that win.
It is the
Just kick back on a Sunday, watch everybody. But when you've got your game on a Monday now, you're under a bit of pressure.
I don't like Monday.
You're under a bit of pressure, innit? Everybody's had their games, right? Each team's won, that team's won. And everybody just like gets a popcorn out on the Monday and says, right, so what are you going to do? Right? You're under a bit of pressure. I don't like these Monday games, but listen, it is what it is. We've got to get the win away at Crystal Palace. We won there last year. Hopefully we can get a win, keep the winning streak, got a chance for Arsenal. I said it all along, to get off to a winning start. Beat Palace, then Fulham at home. Fulham looked very, very lucky last week to get a win at Everton. I watched that game, very lucky, right? And they're probably going to lose Mitrovic as well. Week, They could have Balogun. Apparently they want Balogun. Right?
That'd be a very good move for him, by the way.
That would be a great move for him, right? Fulham and then United at home. Good record against United at home, so we could get off to a great start, but we've got to beat Crystal Palace. Listen, thanks very much for watching and listening to the podcast today. Don't forget you can get it on all your normal streaming services. Big thank you going out to the Tollington pub. Remember, on a match days, this is the place to come. Yeah, good point when you don't pay for it, right? But it's a great place to come to on a match day. And even, not just a match day, during the week, it's a really cool place. It's kind of, you ever been there during the week? It's like, it's a different...
They do
it's a different place. Yes, great food and everything.
Great food, like they do some good stuff there, and also like look out for it because they do like if like players or ex-players are doing book launches and things like that. We've had David Dean here. Paul Davis was here last season.
Yeah.
And I tell you what,
Ian Wright was here. I remember coming here when he did his thing.
Paul Davis when he had his one. Martin Keown was here. Michael Thomas was here as well. Like
Zinchenko came in here.
Zinchenko coming here for a casual pint and a watch of a game of football.
So check out the Tollington. Great pub. Great people. Big up to Anna. And also, don't forget to check out all of our content over the weekend. Crystal Palace away. We're going to be building up to it. We've got previews from outside Selhurst Park. Right, so make sure you check it out here on AFTV and subscribe. And also Transfer Daily every day. You will not miss a thing if you keep it locked here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.
The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.